Good morning and welcome to all. Let me from the top acknowledge the Honorable Fidel Grant, the Minister for the Green and Blue Economy, Agriculture and National Food Security in Dominica, Mr. Ugo Blanco, the UNDP Deputy Resident Representative, Mr. Yasuhiko Kamada, Counsellor for the Embassy of Japan for the Commonwealth of Dominica, Luis Thais Francisco, head of the UNDP Dominica Project Office and the Project Office team, Dr. Kira Paul, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of the Blue and the Green Economy, Agriculture, and National Food Security, specially invited guests, including or implemented partners, the FAO, the Inter American Institute of Cooperation in Agriculture, the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology, the University of Reading, other stakeholders, beneficiary farmers of the South, Southeast, Central, and East regions, members of the media, listening and viewing public in the Dominica and the Dominican diaspora, and the listening and viewing public in the rest of the Caribbean and overseas. Good morning once again, and welcome to all to this opening ceremony of the week of activities to highlight the Strengthening Disaster Management Capacity Women in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and the Commonwealth of Dominica project. For short, Gaiden. The theme for this week's activities is Preparing Communities Today for Disaster Resilience Tomorrow. The project aims to support hazard prone communities, especially vulnerable groups, including women, in strengthening disaster and climate resilience and enhancing sustainable livelihoods within communities in Dominica and Guyana. Among the expected benefits are the increased capacity of target communities and government agencies in effective, gender responsive, and timely decision making for disaster preparedness. This week's activities aim to specifically share the results of the project thus far and the gains made in helping female farmers stay one step ahead of climate change, access financing, and create better linkages and value chains. The UNDP Dominica office has planned a very exciting program this week, and we will gain a better idea throughout the hour about what is in store. But first, I would like to welcome our first speaker this morning to share remarks, Mr. Ugo Blanco, the Deputy Resident Representative for UNDP Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean. Please welcome Mr. Blanco.
Thank you so much, Master Ceremony. It's for me a great pleasure. But first of all, let me thank Honorable Fidel Grant, Minister of Green and Blue Economy, Agriculture, National Food Security, for his presence today. I think that shows the strong commitment and leadership and vision and many other things from the government of Dominica. It's a great pleasure to be here with him today and with Mr. Yasuhiko Kamada, the Counsellor of Embassy of Japan for the Commonwealth of Dominica. Without their support, the support of Japan, this initiative could not be implemented. But also, thanks to the special guests, including beneficiary farmers and implementing partners, the members of the media, the public that is listening to this event online or from the diaspora, and many others. For me, as UNDP deputy rep, it's a pleasure being here. I've been in Dominica many times, and for many different reasons. So I'm really pleased to be part of this event. Ms. Valerie Cliff, UNDP resident representative, is currently traveling right now, so she can't participate in this event, but she extends her best wishes and wish a successful week for us. I'll be very brief, but let me emphasize a couple of key messages that for the United Nations Development Program are important. Given the focus, the objective, and the results from this project, the strengthening of disaster management capacity of Dominica in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and the Commonwealth of Dominica is a key priority, a key project for UNDP. Because of its main components, and intervention is aimed and to target some of the key priorities for UNDP globally, for the Eastern Caribbean, and for Dominica. So it's very important that today and this week we get together and go through the main components of this intervention to make sure we collectively meet the set targets, and deliver on our commitments. This project is in many ways visionary, and I was not part of the formulation of this project. So kudos to the team that had this strategic vision and put this intervention together, because it tackles three priorities for UNDP worldwide: climate change, resilience, and gender equality. Also, it promotes economic diversification and job creation that in times of COVID are obviously very important. We are vulnerable. We in seeds, we are vulnerable to climate change, we are vulnerable to pandemics, to financial crises, to natural disasters, to dependencies on tourism sector, and many others. So shocks impact differently men and women. Nothing new here. We know that. Vulnerable groups are more exposed to crises and are less resilient. Men and women's unequal participation in agriculture becomes more evident when measuring the disproportionate access, in negative terms, of women to land, credit, extension services, and other productive assets. It's imperative, therefore, that there are targeted interventions like this project to help narrow the differential impacts of both in men and women, and more importantly, to increase the resilience to hazards. Of paramount importance is also the design of policies and programs that provide protection for women and vulnerable groups in the event of hazards. This protection can include the provision of access to financing, very important, access to financing, insurance, land ownership, and customer-focused banking services, adapted social protection systems, and income support mechanisms that respond adequately to shocks will become increasingly important to ensure that the most vulnerable women and men in island states can prepare and recover from disasters. Within the wider context of the UNDP's commitment to support the government of Dominica, achieve its objective of becoming the first climate resilient country in the world. This is big, this is very important. Dominica is the country that is aiming and working very hard to become the first climate resilient country in the world. And we are very pleased as UNDP to be a partner in this journey. So this project has an overall objective of reducing vulnerabilities of small farmers and women's groups, and represents an extension of the support UNDP continues to provide to national counterparts through increasing resilience to the impact of natural disasters, technological and environmental hazards. In Dominica specifically, which houses the largest program of UNDP in the region, the focus remains on the blue economy, resilience building, biodiversity, digital transformation, and agricultural development. This is managed through our office in Dominica, which was established in 2017 and is nicely and masterfully led by Luis Francisco and the team over there, with a dedicated team that continues to support the governments of Dominica and the communities to implement the 2030 Agenda, 2030 National Resilience Development Strategy, a very nice visionary pioneer document. I wish to thank also all the stakeholders for your presence and engagement with this project, and particularly this week of activities under the theme Preparing Communities Today for Disaster Resilience Tomorrow. I'm very conscious that this project serves as a mechanism to support the government in achieving the 2030 Agenda in the three most vulnerable parishes, while also advancing the dialogue on gender mainstreaming. In closing, I want to express sincere appreciation to the government of Japan for entrusting UNDP with the implementation of this important initiative in collaboration and under the leadership of the government of Dominica. I know this project is just one example of your continued development investment in the region, which is very valued and appreciated. Our friends from Japan are really walking the talk and showing how important seeds and the Caribbean is for Japan. To our government partners, particularly the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Fisheries, and the Gender Bureau, our progress to date has only been possible through your strong leadership, engagement, and guidance, and I am confident that this partnership will be further enhanced throughout the execution of this initiative. I wish you all much success during the week of activities and look forward to continuing the positive outcomes of this project in Dominica. Thank you so much, Minister. Thank you so much, Councillor. Uh, Wishing you a good week. Over.
Our thanks to Mr. Blanco for his deliberation on the extreme vulnerabilities of small island states like ours and the implications for our small island economies, and certainly why it is important to design policies and programs that provide protection for women and other vulnerable groups to adapt to hazards and to disaster. We note also the focus in Dominica on our resilience building efforts. Thank you so much, Mr. Blanco. I now invite Mr. Yasuhiko Kamada, Counsellor of the Embassy of Japan for the Commonwealth of Dominica, to deliver remarks. Good morning, Mr. Kamada, and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you very much for the introduction. The Honorable Fidel Grant, Minister of Blue and Green Economy, Agriculture, and Natural Food Security, Mr. Hugo Blanc, Deputy Resident Representative, United Nations Development Program, Barbados and Eastern Caribbean, Ms. Sawana Fabien, Project Coordinator, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to extend warm greetings to you all on this memorable occasion on behalf of Embassy of Japan and His Excellency Mr. Tatsuo Hirayama, Ambassador of Japan, who is out of the country today. I'm especially honored to participate in today's opening ceremony for the project entitled Strengthening Disaster Management Capacity of Women in the Commonwealth of Dominica. I recently arrived in the Caribbean just a few months ago, and I genuinely look forward to visiting Dominica in the very near future. Today's event, under the project Visibility Bridge, represents part of an ongoing cooperation between the Government of Dominica, Government of Japan, and UNDP, with the active participation of the communities. The disaster management project commenced in 2018 and was originally scheduled to be completed in June of this year. Unfortunately, however, the current global health crisis caused by COVID-19 severely disrupted the project schedule, and it is now expected to be completed by December this next year. Despite this immense challenge, I'm very pleased to note the significant progress and achievements of this project, which was made possible thanks to the tireless efforts of all the stakeholders in Dominica and the UNDP. Japan and Dominica have enjoyed friendly relations since the year Dominica became independent in 1978. In the ensuing decades, our two countries have engaged in development cooperation bilaterally and regionally, including disaster management, human resource development, provision of equipment, and upgrading of fisheries facilities. At the same time, we have complemented our bilateral cooperation with cooperation in the international fora. Indeed, the government of Japan greatly appreciates that Dominica has always rendered its reliable and valuable support to Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, this project represents another example of Japan's commitment to development cooperation with Dominica. As the title of this project indicates, its objective is to enhance resilience to climate change and hazardous risks. for women and other vulnerable groups within target communities in Dominica. This challenge of disasters caused by climate change is a serious problem that is quite familiar to Japan as an island nation. Japan has also been suffering through various and frequent natural disasters such as earthquakes, flooding, tsunami, typhoon, and eruptions of volcanoes. Thus, Japan understands the importance of upgrading disaster management and strengthening resilience. And we profoundly recognize the need to support Dominica and other our partner countries in the Caribbean, and will continue to render our support. In closing, I sincerely hope that this project, funded to the amount of approximately 2.6 million US dollars, will meet its completion target and comfortably achieve all its objectives by the end of next year. I remain confident that the unwavering efforts and boundless enthusiasm of all the staff and persons involved will continue and will ensure the successful completion of this project. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kamada. We are grateful to the government of Japan for its funding of this particular project that empowers our farmers, male and female alike, to adapt to climate change impacts. And we certainly look forward to continuing the strong bilateral relations you speak of, which have previously extended to disaster preparedness, agriculture and fisheries, and environmental protection. Thank you so much for your remarks. The Ministry of the Green and Blue Economy, Agriculture, and the National Food Security has been a great champion of this project since its inception, and its success could not have been possible in the absence of the collaboration and the guidance from the ministry. The Honorable Fidel Grant is here with us this morning, and he will now address us. Welcome, Honorable Grant.
Good morning and thank you, Mrs. Smith. Let me recognize the presence of Mr. Hugo Blanco, Deputy Representative, UNDP Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean. Let me also recognize the presence of Yasuhiko, Kamada, Counsellor, Embassy of Japan for the Commonwealth of Dominica. Let me also recognize Mr. Luis Francisco, Head of the UNDP office here in Dominica. I would also like to recognize Ms. Sawana Fabien, Project Coordinator, the other staff of the UNDP, and PS Dr. Paul in the Ministry of the Blue and Green Economy, Agriculture and National Food Security, as well as other staff members present this morning. Good morning, fellow Dominicans, and those listening to this opening ceremony. Let me begin by thanking the UNDP Dominica Project Office for its development, interest, and investment in our agriculture sector through the 3-year Gaiden project, strengthening capacity in disaster risk reduction. This project supports Dominica's effort at building resilience of our most vulnerable with a focus on agriculture. The Ministry of Blue and Green Economy, Agriculture and National Food Security is pleased to partner with the project during this week of activities under the theme Preparing Communities Today for Disaster Resilience Tomorrow. Due to our geographic location, each year we are faced with the threat of major hurricanes and tropical storms. We have experienced severe effects from drought systems, tropical waves, and depressions. Due to the resilient nature of Dominicans and the effective leadership and governance of the country, we are always determined to bounce back stronger and build back better following the impacts of natural disasters. However, there are some among us whose quality of life and livelihoods make them more vulnerable to the effects. Our women and children, elderly, the less fortunate among us, persons with disabilities, and those who depend on the land and sea for the survival are those who are often most impacted by these events. We recognize we do not have the power to stop or redirect these events, but our preparedness can save lives and property or reduce the impact. Following Hurricane Maria in 2017, this government is determined to build the world's first climate resilient country. The project is therefore very timely, and we are grateful for the interventions being made in the lives of our farmers, who we consider to be the backbone of Dominica. We are especially pleased for the recognition of women farmers, who play a critical role in national food security. We thank the UNDP for the support through farm tools, water tanks, and other essentials which prepare them for mitigation against the effects of natural disasters and the effects of climate change. As the world continues to fight COVID-19, food security is a growing concern for many first world countries. This government is committed to the necessary investments in the agriculture sector to ensure the population has access to affordable, nutritious foods. The government's investment in the sector continues to bear fruit, and this is evident by the wide variety of produce available and the number of sustainable jobs created within the sector. We are committed to having nutritious foods on our tables and money in the pockets of our farmers. I urge all farmers to join a group, an association, or a cooperative as we continue to strengthen the sector. There must be structure. Farming is a business. We must therefore treat it as one. I also ask all women farmers and farmers in general to register with the ministry and make use of the services and support which are provided free of charge. On behalf of the government and the people of Dominica, I once again thank the UNDP, the government of Japan, ICA, FAO, and look forward to the continued cooperation and the Gaiden project. I also thank the Ministry of the Blue and Green Economy, especially the extension staff, for their continued support provided to our farmers. I look forward to a successful week of activities and pray God's blessing on the organizers and the participants. Thank you.
Thank you to Honorable Grant, the Minister for the Green and Blue Economy, Agriculture and National Food Security. As you heard from Honorable Grant, Dominica remains committed to strengthening our nation's early warning systems and staying true to our goals for resilience building, disaster reduction, and climate change adaptation. And of course, that extends to our efforts in the agriculture sector. So thank you, Honorable Grant, for providing that reminder of our resilience effort and the work that has been done so far to advance our goals, specifically within agriculture and related areas. At this stage, we move on to a summary of the project and its key achievements. Since its launch, several Dominican women farmers, several farmers in general, have benefited through both financial and technical support to improve their farming methodologies and to increase output. To tell us more about this is Ms. Sawana Fabien. She's the project coordinator for UNDP Dominica Project Office. Ms. Fabien will also declare the week of activities open. Sawana Fabien, good morning and welcome.
Thank you, Dion. With the protocol being already established, I would like to especially thank the Minister, Honorable Fidel Grant, and the Counsellor, Mr. Kamada, and of course our very own Hugo Blanco for being here with us. And I will join them by thanking all of our viewers for being here with us. You could have chosen to be elsewhere, and hence the choice that you've made to be here with us cannot go unrecognized. I do want to appreciate all for that. I'd like to take the next few minutes to provide an overview of the Gaiden project and its key achievements, noting that throughout this week you'll be exposed to far greater details. The Strengthening Disaster Management Capacity of Women project, implemented by UNDP in collaboration with the Government of Dominica, brings together a network of partners and stakeholders who, with the Government of Japan's support, seeks to enhance the disaster and climate resilience of rural and vulnerable communities to equip them to adopt more sustainable livelihood approaches. As alluded to by previous presenters, although the project does not exclude men, it focuses on women because it recognizes that women play a pivotal role in disaster management. For women, their contributions are often taken for granted, often become invisible, and so their needs are not factored sufficiently in planning and implementation. Hence, on this project, the specific and predetermined interventions pertaining to all three outputs are gender inclusive, gender responsive, and include a measure of gender mainstreaming. I take a moment to highlight some of the project's key accomplishments through two intentional approaches, which are building strong partnerships and reaching our beneficiaries in creative ways. In its first approach to building strong partnerships, the project has placed emphasis on allowing our partners to vision their impact on the project's success and give voice so they feel that their contributions matter in important ways. This has borne fruit that we have renewed commitment and support from the Agricultural Extension Unit, even as they face their own development challenges. And I say thank you to the extension officers who've been providing exceptional support. The second intentional approach is to reach our beneficiaries through unconventional means, and by this, harnessing their interest and buying in a manner that is relatable to their context. As we would have seen last June, the project commissioned the Bell Tory Women is Farmers to Play, which provided a glimpse of the reality that women farmers face, making the public aware of the rigors of farming and the love for industry that keeps our women engaged in this business. Under the three outputs of the project, output one focuses on disaster preparedness. The project is supporting the expansion of hazard monitoring equipment to strengthen early warning systems for multi-hazard alerts. As of last quarter, the Dominica Meteorological Service and the Lands and Surveys Division have been direct beneficiaries of hydrometeorological and geotechnical monitoring equipment. With the partnership of the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology and the University of Reading, 327 of our farmers, with 65% female participation, have been trained utilizing the knowledge of the Participatory Integrated Climate Services for Agriculture, PICSA. This tool has been facilitated by the agricultural extension officers and the Dominica Met officers. This tool essentially provides opportunities for farmers in these communities to explore resilient livelihood options. Hats off to our farmers who made the time and are using the knowledge on their farms. Recognize your efforts. Under output two, which focuses on mitigation and adaptation, many small women farmers experience challenges in accessing finance to enhance their preparation for, mitigation against, and adaptation to climate-related disasters. The project adopts a three-pronged approach in improving farmers' access to resources. A number of PICSA trained farmers have received inputs and commitments up to $500 each. As of October, the project sent out a call for proposals for qualifying women-led groups and cooperatives. Each of these qualifying groups can apply for up to $10,000 to support sustainable, climate-resilient practices in agriculture. And as of last evening, we've recorded 18 applications. Thirdly, in partnership with the Inter-American Institute of Cooperation in Agriculture, a gender-responsive microfinance revolving fund has been developed and proposed for implementation. It offers a soft loan to beneficiaries to scale up their farming business or diversify into agribusiness projects. As a mitigation strategy from which we draw is value chain. The value chain component of the project focuses on creating new markets and linking farmers to existing ones, while assisting farmers with brokering relationships for enhanced market access of produce and value added products. We will see much more of this in the coming year. The last output, which focuses on knowledge exchange, the approach to this output has been affected severely by the COVID-19 project environment. It is expected that farmers from the different communities, through formalized networks, share the best agricultural practices learned through PIXA and climate smart agriculture trainings with other farmers across Dominica and Guyana. Although this activity has been somewhat underdeveloped, we will during the week of activities, sorry, let me take this again. Although this activity has been somewhat underdeveloped, you will during this week of activities hear and listen to a few of our farmers share their knowledge on the panel discussions featured. The accomplishments of this project are a testament to the tenacious work and commitment of our partners, stakeholders, immediate beneficiaries, and our UNDP team. In conclusion, despite the uncertainties of climate change, pandemics, and other crises, one truth remains. We cannot achieve resilience without collective action. This week of activities will showcase the collective efforts of our international, regional, and national communities through the voices of our stakeholders and beneficiaries. Their voices will be instruments that reinforce the project's achievement and herald the tangible changes and impact experienced. I am most assured that this project positions the national counterparts and the communities within the project targets to be better prepared today for disaster resilience tomorrow. It gives me great joy to be part of such intervention. The project wishes to thank all its stakeholders and partners for the continued support and encourage us to keep working towards building resilience among our communities. We ask that you join us as we celebrate these achievements through this week of activities. Join us as we do so. I thank you.
Oh, thanks to Sawana Fabien for this comprehensive overview of the project, its objectives, and some of the gains already realized since its inception. At this point, we officially declare the week of activities opened. And as you heard from Sawana, we have quite a week of activities, packed week of activities ahead of us, designed to bring attention to the gains made under this project. One of the major activities is the Farming Champions competition, and you may have seen some of that already on Facebook. Farming Champions takes the form of a social media competition to select winners among the 4 districts in which the project operates. 25 champion farmer nominees have been selected for their resilient farming practices and their openness to knowledge and improvement. The job of you, the members of the public, will be to like and share the photos with accompanying bios of the farmers, those farmers that you wish to vote for. We invite and encourage all Dominicans here and abroad, people from all over the Caribbean, with access to the UNDP page at facebook.com/UNDP Dominica to participate by voting, by liking and sharing. At this point, we introduce you to our 25 champion farmers. From the East District, Anthony Lucian of Crayfish River, Vincent Elize of Concord, Regina Joseph of St. Cyr, Adrian Banis of Castle Bruce. From the Southeast, Albertha Sorrento of Dalis, Dalton Antwine, also of Dalis, Joan Lawrence, Jake Matthew, he's from Montjean, Cheyenne Alexander is from the Central District, he's from Bells, Joanna Edmond from the Layou Valley, Michael Warrington from Warner, Clement Ferrara, who farms in the Layou Valley, Julietta Richards of Cochrane, Ronaldson Piper of Cochrane, Anne-Marie Germain Scarrett of Corona, Erica Biscom of Soufrière, she's from the Southern District, Joachim Paquette of Grand Bay, Magdalena Raphael of Bellevue Chopin, Ronnie Bellot from the South, Cynthia Bedminster from Mont Prosper, Mabel Charles from Mont Prosper, Julian Theophile of Girardel, Osmond Lavenier of Grand Bay, and this takes us to the end of our 25 farmer list, which make up our champion farmers for the champion farmers competition. We look forward to your vote. You can view the champion farmers on Facebook at UNDP Dominica. And this week, you can look forward to panel discussions to be broadcast via UETV, DBS Radio, Vibes Radio, Kyra FM, EMU News, Dominica News Online, as well as the UNDP Facebook page. Do join us for discussions on the importance of the role in gender in agriculture, climate smart agriculture, and disaster risk reduction in farming. Look out also for various social media campaigns so that you may become even more familiar with the work that is ongoing under this project. We are also looking forward, as you heard from Sawana, to a short film titled Bell Tory, Women is Farmers Too, a glimpse of the hard work of women farmers in Dominica, which will premiere following this week of activities. I wish to thank our presenters this morning, the Honorable Minister Fidel Grant, Mr. Hugo Blanco, and Councillor Kamada, as well as Ms. Sawana Fabien. We thank also those of you, our stakeholders who joined in and who were part of this activity. We thank our media partners for being here this morning. Thank you so much all, and good morning.